Over the years, hundreds of gold and silver salesmen have made sales of expensive, overpriced numismatic coins by talking about government gold confiscation. Back in 1934, the federal government tried to bring in all the gold because they wanted to enter into a big inflationary program and they needed to get the gold to do that. What most people don't understand is, even back then when people trusted the government, which they don't today, even back then, only about 20% of the gold came in. But first, I want you to think about this. Back in the 1930s, there was a bank robber named Willie Sutton. And somebody asked Willie one time, "Willie, why do you rob banks?" And Willie answered, "Because that's where the money is." In exactly the same way, the reason that the federal government stole the gold in 1935 and 34 is that that was where the money was then. 40% or nearly 40% of the bank's reserves had to be in gold. None of that's true today. This is not 1934. That's not going to happen today. If they go for where the money is, they'll go for your pension funds. That's what they'll go for. So gold confiscation is not going to happen. And the coins that were minted before 1935 or before 1934 that some salesmen will tell you are safe from confiscation are not safe from confiscation. In the first place, they weren't safe back in 1934 when the gold was called in. As a matter of fact, that's the gold they were calling in. The only time that 1934 date came into play was in the regulations that existed when it was illegal for Americans to own gold. All that's gone. All that's gone. And there's no reason to think that those coins minted before 1934 confer any sort of exemption from confiscation. And finally, you need to ask this question. I don't want an answer. I just want you to ask yourself this question just to prepare yourself. If you think that your family's survival depends on some little dab of gold or silver that you have, and the nice government man with the jackboots comes to your front door and knocks on the door and says, "I'm here to get your gold," are you going to give it to him? The answer to that ought to be plain. Ask yourself that question before it happens. So the bottom line is this. When we talk about confiscation, we're talking about something that's terribly unlikely. In fact, there's probably a greater likelihood that you'll be abducted by aliens on your way home tonight than the U.S. government will confiscate gold.